So the shirt I'm wearing today is God grant me the serenity to accept all the things, all the vibes that aren't rootin' tootin'. I love this. I love this so much because it describes me, really. So today's what I want to say today. I'm hoping that once you understand my motivations and how I see the world, that you'll be able to understand my choices a little better. When John was, my son John, when he was a little boy, he was about 4 years old, 5 years old, he wrote a poem, and I have it in a box somewhere, that says, "No one sees the same sights as me, even when they're standing right next to me." And coming from a little kid like that, it was really profound. And now that I'm older, I understand what he was trying to say. But first, I'm going to do an analogy. I just love Shaquille O'Neal. He's not only a brilliant basketball player, but he's a very interesting person. And if you were to describe Shaquille O'Neal, what are some of the words that you would use to describe him? Well, he's a man, right? He's very tall. He's extremely talented. He's African American. What are some other things? He's got really big feet. Wears like size 26 shoe.
I heard he has a doctorate.
Does he really?
I forget in what.
Wow. Shaquille O'Neal, very interesting person. Now, when you were talking about, or when I think of Shaquille O'Neal, if I ever met him, I wouldn't go up to him and say, "Wow, wow, wow, I want to be just like you. I want to be tall." That's not something that he can. He goes, "What? No, you don't. You don't want to be tall, like me, or big, like him." It's so hard. It's a good thing he's really wealthy. It'd be really hard to buy clothes. You have to have a custom-made automobile. How does he ride in airplanes? Right? And his ginormous shoes. Being tall is something that he doesn't have any control over. And as a basketball player, it's a positive, right? But nobody should be jealous or envious of his height. Oh, and I had his name. The young man from the 1920s, 30s that was 8 foot tall. What was his name?
Robert Wadlow.
Robert Wadlow. Now, Robert Wadlow, taller than Shaq.
8'11".
8'11". It was a handicap for him. He had all the same types of problems as Shaquille O'Neal, but more so because he was so tall that it was a handicap. It was detriment to him. And I use this analogy because I want to talk about something that is very, very sensitive to me. I rarely talk about it because people have a tendency to think that I'm bragging, or by bringing it up that I'm trying to show that I'm superior or something, and that is not. I keep it hidden. I keep it because I've been beat up physically, bullied, beat up, ostracized, hated because of this. It's something that I have no control over. Just like Shaquille O'Neal, being as tall as he is, I don't have. You know, Shaquille O'Neal just gets, oh, I want to be shorter today. And that is, I was born for whatever reason with an extremely high intellect. And because of this, I can see things that other people can't see. Just like Robert Wadlow, right? Very, very tall, he could see things that other people couldn't see because he was so much taller. I see big picture. I can see problems, and I can see things, and it's difficult to explain how everything is interconnected. And how, like with dominoes and all the different things, I used to call it, before I make a decision, I gotta run the scenarios before I make a decision. And what I would do is try to come up with all of the consequences for a decision. If I make this decision, what are the possible consequences for that decision? Now, unlike Shaq, who can't get shorter, I used alcohol to dumb down. I used it to level the playing field a little bit. Sometimes it's too painful. And I've made a lot of really dumb decisions. I look at all of the really dumb decisions I've ever made in my life, and alcohol was involved. Because I didn't do what I do now, which is run the scenarios. Because every choice, every decision has a consequence. It's like equal and opposite reactions in science. Same thing. And I can see these. And sometimes it makes me a little crazy because I can see all the possible outcomes for a single decision, a single choice, a single event, and I can see all of the possible outcomes. Now, because I know that nobody wants to hear this, nobody wants to hear, oh, ooh, you're smart. Ooh, that makes you better than me, right? You knew better than me. Don't tell me what to do. You think you're so smart? Get out. I don't talk about it, and I don't tell people. It's only when things get really out of... It's only when things get really out of control, out of hand, when I feel the intense desire to warn. So sometimes, and I try to do it, and I try to say it, and I try to phrase it. I choose my words very carefully because I don't want to come across as accusing people of things, or chastising, or wagging my finger, or I'm better than you, I know better than you, and this and that. And in my enthusiasm to warn, I come across as accusatory. And that is never my intention, ever, 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 ever. So there are some times, and apparently this is a phenomenon, I just realized this the other day, when I saw something, and I verified it by double checking my facts, because there's a difference between facts and opinions. And apparently this is a legitimate phenomenon where we just decide we're not going to talk anymore. Nobody's listening anyway. And even if they do hear and misinterpret, so this brings me to the recent Facebook activity. I don't have it in me to assume bad in people. It's gotten me in trouble. I always assume the good in people. When I was teaching a class called Work Group Dynamics, it's something that I taught my students. It wasn't in any textbook. But, because in the textbook, I say you only have one chance to make a good first impression. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that. Because I like to assume that maybe this person is having a bad day. Come on up here, Radar. Come on. You can come up here now. Somebody's having a bad day. Maybe they're not feeling well. They haven't slept. And 99% of the time, they are sweet, wonderful, kind people. I also don't 100% trust somebody who's all smiles and handshakes and everything on the very first time you meet them. It could be sincere, but I've met too many people who it turns out that they were nice and kind, generous. It turns out that they were only acting that way and that they're actually not good people. And it's one of my little things, and my husband Steve behind the camera will tell you, where I've said, why do you assume the worst in me? That I'll do something and it's assumed that I did it out of spite or anger or revenge or whatever. No. So recently a lot of stuff's happened. Charlie Kirk was a human being. He had a wife who loved him. He had 2 little children who adored him. He didn't deserve to die. And I am 100% behind freedom of speech. That's one of the things that's wonderful about the United States, is that you can say whatever you want. Well, pretty much, you can't yell fire at a crowded movie house. But you can say things, and if I don't agree with them, well, I just turn it off. I'm not going to listen to that. So Charlie Kirk apparently had 2 sides. One side, and I am going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's not here to defend himself. Give him the benefit of the doubt, where he talked about God, and he talked about loving one another and things. Well, good. And there are some people who only saw that side of him. And if their lives were better, if they were inspired to do good things because of anything that Charlie Kirk said, well, then that's good. That's a good thing. But there's another side. of Charlie Kirk, a dark side, who said some really despicable things, especially about people of color, that were not Christ-like. Were not Jesus. And up until his death, it didn't really, it was okay, all right. But after Charlie Kirk's death, and I saw so many people praising him and seeing things like AI generated Charlie Kirk with Jesus, and that they put Charlie Kirk up with Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, and JFK, and Charlie Kirk, and putting flags at half-mast. No. No. And because I always see the best in people and they have to prove me wrong. I will always assume that somebody is good and that that person would have to go out of his or her way to prove me wrong. When I post things on Facebook, what I'm seeing is, oh my gosh, this is gonna get worse. Other people are gonna get hurt because of this. This is going to inspire other people. This is bad. And being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, oh, it hit even worse. Because members of the LDS faith, still to this day, there are all kinds of misconceptions. People of the LDS faith aren't Christians and not real Christians. Anyways, that's beside the point. So I felt very strongly that I needed to warn people, because I know in my heart of hearts that people who I know, who I love, who I know are good people, loving, honest, caring, kind, generous disciples of Christ. I know that if they knew what I know, then maybe they would be able to see the bigger picture like I see the bigger picture. And this has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with seeing everything. I can see everything and how everything interconnects together. And then sure enough, there's the driver who drove through and killed 4 people and burned the church down. There were reports that he did it to get back at Mormons, and that the Charlie Kirk killing was the trigger for that man. Don't you see it? And it's so dangerous to state the obvious. So dangerous to state the obvious. So I'm going to do it right now. We need to be accountable for our own actions. All of our choices have consequences. All of them. Sometimes the consequence is immediate. You touch the hot stove, you burn your hand. Sometimes the consequences take years, decades before they appear. My mother right now is going through some consequences. I found out last year that my biological father is not Dwayne. And my mother is going through some consequences right now. As am I. So we need to, everybody, please listen to me. We need to think about our actions. And not just immediately, but long term. And not just long term, but like dominoes. I'm going to state the obvious. 88% of the mass shootings since 1980 have been by white men. There you go. I said it out loud. It's not a very popular fact, but it is a fact. So I'm going to talk to you, my sisters. Every sister out there. We need to look and see and take accountability for our own actions or no action at all. We are the ones who are supposed to show our men and our boys and our brothers and our cousins and the man on the street and the homeless guy, all of them, everybody. We need to let them know that they are loved, that they're needed, that they're important. This is what I see. Now, you got mental illness and PTSD and all that extenuating factors. But I believe it has been our failure. Our failure to raise up men and boys to love themselves. And the only way we can do that is by loving them unconditionally. There's a difference. I love you unconditionally. I don't approve of your choices. Choices have consequences. But regardless of your choices, I will always love you. To teach them healthy ways. Sit them down and let them watch some of the old Mr. Rogers. What do you do with the mad that you feel? When you get so mad you can bite. What do you do with the mad that you feel? I'm not saying this is an admonition. I'm not saying it just because I think you're failures. I feel it. I feel it. I'm saying this as maybe you'll open your eyes too. Look a little bit past your circle of influence. You don't know what kind of domino effect you can make. You see a young man, he's not having a very good day. You don't know this young man. You say, hey, I like your hair. Or just be sincere about it. Anything. So I always make it a point too, is with maybe he's one of the checkout guys or the bag boy or something. Thank you. You're very kind. I really appreciate your help today. And do it with sincerity. That may be the one thing that would stop that young man from going out and jumping off a cliff, putting a gun in his mouth. You don't know that, right? Or you certainly would want to be the one person who was negative and sent that person over the edge. Choices have consequences. and we can map out the consequences by making the right choice. So that was the big roundabout. Want to let you know I'm not pulling this out of my butt. I'm in the 93 percentile in the nation. My son John is in the 99.6. No, 99.06. Sorry, get it right. Get the facts right. I hope this inspires you. Be brave. Be courageous. Be the wonderful, awesome, beautiful spirits that you are. And I'll see you next time.